athletes, past and present, around the world, for what they do for us and what they do for our freedom and our country, and we do greatly appreciate them here at the University of Kentucky, and I certainly do. So thank you for your service. As I mentioned after the game, just extremely difficult game. Extremely difficult outcome. Very proud of the way our team played and competed, and across the board really did some very good things to put our team in a position to win. As I mentioned afterwards, it's not some coaching cliche or ways for you guys to pounce on me about it, but we have to find a way to get those yards, inches, yards, plays, critical moments. We have to find ways to execute and to make those plays happen. Right now, the way we're playing, the margin for error is extremely small, but we're playing extremely hard. Guys are doing a lot of good things. It gets down to a few plays. If you look at our league, there's probably 6 teams with a better record than us, and then everybody is lumped in there. 6, 7, from 7 to 14. It's extremely competitive, extremely close. There's plays here, plays there with all of us, and we're all trying to make those plays and win these close games. This is at least the second time this year that I come in here and you talk about a play here and a play there, and that's our job to find that. It's our job to do it. Felt like our guys again competed extremely well. We had an opportunity to win in a game like that. It was weird in this sense. We had 9 possessions in the game. That's all the offensive possessions we had was 9. And so you look at some of those possessions and they were remarkable. Of course, the start of the game, with the 17-play drive and then a quick, explosive play after the block punt, and you get a 2-play drive. But after that, so you're talking about 7 possessions the rest of the game, and the last 3 ended on downs. And that's, the key, as we all know, that comes down to winning and losing. Converting a few of those at the end, or converting one of those at the end. That's compounded by a missed extra point again, or, it is different. It's different in maybe possession 7, 8, as far as how you're trying to move the ball to get a field goal, if nothing else. And even at the end of the game, we could have got the field goal to tie. So we got to get that fixed. I don't have an answer for that other than to continue to work with the kickers that we have and build their confidence and get them better, because I know they can do it. So there's a lot of good, and there's a lot of things we need to get cleaned up and improve on.
Mark, how difficult is it to evaluate the direction of the offense when on one hand you've averaged 17 points a game with win, which puts a bunch of pressure on your defense and your special teams, but on the other hand, if you get 2 yards at the end, you're 3-1 with that offense. How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, it gets difficult. It really does. We kick that around every week, and as you know, and you watch our games, every play, every possession is critical. Even whether you throw it or run, because we have a lot of explosive runs in that game. If you throw an incomplete pass, you're behind the chains. It gets tough, that balance, and we are confident in Lynn's throwing ability. I will say this, Tennessee's a good matchup with us right now because they are stout up front, as I mentioned, going into the game, and they've been covering very well, and they've been creating a lot of interceptions. So their back end has been playing well. I felt like, even you look at, possession 8, I think when we were stopped on downs, we had a shot there, for a huge play, a potential touchdown or a big gainer, and we miss it. We just miss it by a little bit. So I think every week we look at the best opportunity to win, and you look at a big portion of that game, and you just look at the drive chart, and it frustrates or baffles all of us how you lose a game like that. But you look at the possessions and you look at where we went, we had 1 3 and out all day. We only had 1 3 and out, and that's the first half of the first possession of the second half. After that, you know, we only have 3 more drives. We drive it for 9 plays, end zone downs. We drive it for another 9 plays, starting from our own 5-yard line. It goes all the way into Tennessee territory again. You know, overcome a holding call and essentially a 22-yard swing. You know, and ends on downs again there. And then the last drive, you take it and it's a 12 plays, and you end up on the 2-yard line. And so, you know, that's tough to answer, right? You know, so put yourself in these shoes, and you know, because that's a lot of good against a good, you know, defensive team. It's just a matter of finding some explosive plays. And but it is a balance. It is something to think about. It's hard when you have 9 possessions in a game. It's a lot easier to say after the fact, hey, give Sawyer, you know, three series. But every play, every series is so important. And again, with Lynn, we have been very effective. We've been moving the football.
Mark, how hard would that be though, when you're essentially running wishbone, more or less, to then throw in a passing quarterback and, you know, start running the spread? I mean, how realistic is that?
It is hard. However, we do work on our base offense all week, and Lynn does it as well. So if Lynn's not a quarterback, all of our players and the route running and everything is still there. Or you know, a lot of the core of our offense is still there. Now, some of the unique plays built for Lynn are totally new.
But just in terms of timing and all that, I would think it would be really hard to do.
It is hard. It is. There's no question. You know, there's no doubt about it. You have to, you know, continue to build to your strengths, and which you feel give you the best opportunity to win.
When you can only take so many kind of aggressive shots offensively, does it also, when the margin of error is that thin, does that affect defensively how aggressive you want to play?
No, I don't really think it is, because defensively we're really, you know, we're trying to stop them every time. And, you know, defensively it was frustrating. It was equally as frustrating, because I felt like we played extremely well in so many cases. And then the frustration comes in on a certain amount of plays that really dictate the outcome of the game. And, you know, what was it? I think they had 11.
I think 3 of their third downs were on that first drive is 3rd and long, and they converted them.
Yeah.
Was there anything like theme to those plays?
So which ones?
On that first scoring drive, I think they had 3 3rd and longs they converted before he
Yeah, well, we blitzed and played man, they beat us. We played zone, they beat us. They scrambled for one, if I'm not mistaken, which we didn't have we didn't execute the game up front. You know, so we run the game up front correctly. You know, I don't believe he scrambles for the first down on one of them. So, you know, a few plays here and there, but, you know, when you look at the defense, I want to say, what was it, 11 carries by the running backs for 37 yards? I mean, that's pretty good. You know, you go into the game, you tell me beforehand that that's going to be the case. That's pretty effective. And the quarterback got out on a critical 3rd down. He got out on a 3rd and long that it gave him better field positions on the first field goal. I want to say, which we were playing, you know, far, you know, back, right, you know, right there, because we didn't want to give them a one-on-one. That they ended up winning later. You know, with those wideouts, that's the last thing you want to do in that situation on a 3rd and extra long, is give up a jump ball to one of those dudes that could come down with it. And, you know, we saw that, and, you know, that again, we said it going into the game, you heard me talking about it. That was going to be a critical point in the game. You know, the 50-50 balls of handling their wideouts. And really, you know, to me, that was the difference. You know, we played extremely well defensively. We gave up some 50-50 balls that they got every one of them. And, you know, that obviously was, you know, their points.
Is it tough to prepare for that going into the game when you're kind of strapped at quarterback and both of your 50-50 wide receivers are injured?
Yeah. I was going to use a word that I probably shouldn't. You know what I mean? I'm going to use a different S word. It stinks.
Coach, what do you know about Vandy?
Vandy is a team that, you know they're gonna play extremely hard. You know, they're gonna be well coached. I know Coach Mason's going through a hard time right now, and again, it's just like all of us. The league is, there's no mercy. Look around, you know, look around the league. It's hard on all of us, but you know they're gonna be well coached. You know, tremendous running back in Vaughn, and you know, very much building offense around him. He could hurt you running the ball, and also in receiving, that you've seen him make some extremely explosive plays in the screen game. Talented tight end and wide receiver. So, you know, and they're going to play extremely hard. I mean, look what they did. You know, they shocked everybody a few weeks back when Missouri was rolling and rolling darn good. And Vandy goes in there and plays exceptionally well. So it's every week. You better concentrate on yourself and get ready to play, because you expect a very hard-fought game from them.
Mark, you mentioned that the middle of the pack is jumbled. So when you look at that and think about going against Vanderbilt, how do you feel you match up against them defensively, or how they compare to you guys defensively?
You know, it's about us. You know, and you know, it's about execution and doing these little things. You've seen the games, and it's not lip service. It comes down to several plays in every game, and whether you make them or not, even if you go back to the Missouri game and you feel like we really pulled away from that game, but it really comes down to a couple of big plays that got to that point, that was able to stretch it out a little bit. So you always got to expect, you know, to be prepared for a tight game and make the plays when it matters. I expect nothing else except a hard-fought game. You know, I know Derek and his pride and the pride of that program, and I know him. He's going to coach him extremely hard and have him ready to play. Expect nothing less going in there.
Is there an urgency with this week to try to get out in front of the bowl eligibility deal with not having to go into these last two games, you know, needing 2 wins after this weekend?
Yeah, every game, you know, to us, we feel like it's extremely important, you know, and so, you know, no different in that regard. You know, we felt the urgency last week, and again, I can't fault our players. I really appreciate their preparation and you know, their attitude and the way they went about it, and we gotta all work together and pick ourselves up and go back, you know, go back at it. And you'll probably get tired of hearing me say that, but you look around. I have listened to a little bit of the news last night and other games or pro teams, and hear those pro coaches say the same thing. I mean, what are you gonna do? Those poor guys, they got to play, what, 18 games? That's rough, you know, so it's tough.
Mark, you said you're confident in Lynn's throwing abilities, passing. Is he confident in his throwing ability? It seemed like there were some plays where they're called pass plays, but he took off running, which I don't blame him. He can really run the ball, and is there a fine line there?
It is. You know, it's a tough balance there, truthfully, because Lynn really does have confidence in throwing ability and wants to throw it, and probably at times, you know, wants to keep him more off balance than we do as well. You know, you watch that game, and here's part of it. They didn't necessarily play a lot like Missouri, where they just completely loaded the box. You know, as I told you against Missouri, I felt like there were definitely pass plays there. The weather dictated it, and we were creating some explosive plays in the run game. So we didn't have to go to it as much by the way they were playing. Tennessee didn't go to that extreme. They mixed it in and did a nice job, but again, we created very explosive run plays. But they didn't just wholesale put everybody up there, you know, to just give us some, I should say, you know, give us the greater opportunity of throwing the ball. You know, so you have to see how teams play you, because those guys have been covering good. So a couple of those, you know, where we had some pass plays, it wasn't like he had quick, you know, really free throws. And there's times where that takes, you know, a rhythm. It takes timing. It takes, you know, proper reads on the side. And he does a lot of things good. We just got to try to put him in the best position we can. And predictable pass is not the best situation to be in. But, you know, I will say that's where we've done a really good job of keeping people off balance when we are in third and medium. I want to say in this game, was it 2 or 3 at least 3 third and longs, or 2 third and longs, at least 1 third and medium, keeping them off balance with the run game, converting them. So at least with the threat of throwing, it keeps them off balance there. So at least we're keeping them honest in that regard.
After the game on Saturday, Jordan Griffin said in the backfield, he felt like part of why he might have, or at least the secondary might have missed some of the 50-50 balls because he thought there was some miscommunication there. He said, you can tolerate a 50-50 ball, but you can't miscommunicate at this point in the year. What do you guys do to make sure that you tighten that up with the last few games of the year?
I can't really explain exactly which one he's talking about because there were some communication things that we were on his butt about during the game, but not on the 50-50 balls. In the 50-50 balls, he knew what was coming. He was lined up perfect, played it exceptionally well. He actually backed up, played outside. He knew exactly what play was coming, and he was perfect in his thought. And Coach Klink had him ready for it. It was perfect. He just missed the play, So, and the one on Eccles, I have to tip my cap to them. That throw and catch, the one that they initially ruled out, but then came in. That was a hard play to defend right there. Where that ball was thrown and the way he came in with that was an extremely nice play. That's two off the top of my head right there. I was thinking of, and then Jamari, I felt like he needs to be more confident. We need to work on him. There was a couple that he had that we need to contest those further coming down. So there's zero communication on that. It's a matter of catching the ball, playing the ball and playing it to the ground. That's two right there. That's four. There was zero communication errors, but he might have been thinking of other things that we were on their butt about during the game.
Mark, any idea if Bryce and Ahmad will be back this week?
I hope both of them will be back this week. We'll see. I was told that both of them were close. Both of them were better today, so hopefully they'll be out there.
Mark, after the game on Saturday, you lamented how, especially in short yardage situations, your team was so one-dimensional. I mean, if Sawyer really is healthy, why the hesitancy in maybe putting him in and giving yourself another dimension?
I don't recall exactly if I phrased it exactly how you just did right there, but as I mentioned, if you go through that game and you really study it and watch it, and you look at the drives and the efficiency that we did have, it was extremely good. Now, with that being said, understanding that we have to cap off a few plays, but getting to that point, the efficiency was pretty darn good. So, that is a tough balance right there, and it's a fair question. It's hard to do. Put it like this, the last three drives, 9 plays, 12 plays, you get that one in, and I do that something different. You're sitting here calling me a complete idiot, right? I mean, right? You get that last 2 yards, what are y'all saying? What, really? Think about it. What would you say to me then?
Last week, a lot of fans are worried about you heading to Florida State, and this past few days, some people are trying to fire you. What do you just make of?
As I said last week, I guess it's better than the alternative. See, I never get too far in front of myself. Trust me, let's worry about Vandy, and that's all my concentration is. And our team was ready, and we'll get them ready again, and that's all it is. But yeah, you're right. That's the nature of this job. One minute they love you, the next week they're trying to run you out of here. And I am very thankful for the job I have.
What do you, when you lose a tough game like that, it's obviously emotional. What do you say to a bunch of recruits who are coming in, and it's a big kind of weekend?
I was so encouraged by the recruiting aspect of it. There were guys texting me afterwards till late in the evening and picking me up, and I was like, I can't tell you how much that means to me. I needed a little pickup right now, and guys were really encouraged. And this is a special group. It's a tight group, and I think their unity within the commits is affecting guys that are on the fringe. And I think we have a chance to really put a special class together.
Mark, you said, as you said, when you lost a game like that, but you did a lot of good things, and fans and media like sometimes don't look at that. Who are some guys who played well, who stuck out to you on film?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you know, in general, you know, you always look at Lynn, you know, the way he plays and the heart and the soul that he plays with, you know, was remarkable. I thought our defensive line played very well. There were times in that game where we did have the opportunity to double some wideouts and to play with an extra guy to the pass game because of the threat that they had. If you're doing that, you have to be able to handle things up front. And I really felt like, you know, across the board, the guys up front really had a great control of the line of scrimmage. So that was very helpful.
Mark, it looked like Marcos Bembry might have been dressed out for the first time this season Saturday. Just where is he in his rehab process?
Yeah.
And what can he give you?
He's working his way back in there, he really is. He's been practicing a couple weeks, we're close to getting him into a game. So he's getting there, you know, his knee, you know, seems stronger and stronger each and every week. And you know, we've actually explored because of the need, you know, we feel like we have some good depth outside and we need some help inside. We've actually been repping him a lot inside. And that can help us, you know, in the future. For next year as far as because now you're talking about a big guy, big strong guy that can move in there, and so you know that's been something we've been working on for a few weeks.
Mark, there's understandably a lot of focus on the 4th and goal play from the 2. What happened on the 3rd and 1 play with Rodriguez?
You know, really, that was a close. It was a close play. They ended up really just. To be honest with you, one of their overhang players just they brought him, you know, and so our puller had to take him, or else they were going to hit him in the backfield, which left a one-on-one with a linebacker, and they made the play. You know, and it was hard on Chris because normally we expect him to get that yard with a profile run right there and near leg and near shoulder and run him over, or you know, get him sideways, but. The way he saw it kind of late, he squared him up and made a good goal line tackle there. You know, if Chris has a little better vision, he could you know, get him a little bit more on the side and get that yard or jump. But it wasn't clean, you know, right there. It's not on Chris, and they made a nice play.
Chris has been compared a little bit to Benny, but I mean, one of those plays, he took off. I'm not sure I knew that he was that fast. Is he faster? I mean,
you know, I think, you know, Chris is kind of one of those guys that, you know, you see him getting those very tough yards. And, you know, I think each of our backs have been very productive and given us a lot and given us explosive plays. And, you know, I think, you know, again, I'm not jabbing at anybody, but it's like early in the year, it's like, why aren't you playing this guy, or why aren't you playing that guy, or why aren't you playing that guy? It's like every game it could be this back or another, you know, all 3 of them have given us explosive plays and looked really dynamic at times. So they all are deserving of the reps that they're getting. They've all done some really good things.
Does that game change up how you enter the game with your rotation, or is it one of those things where Eddie kind of just, whoever's the hot hand?
Yeah, I think you know, he may look at some of that, you know, we may look at some of that, but, you know, at this point, it's probably more, you know, the fans and the media make more of that than we do because we feel like during the game, you don't know where those explosive runs are gonna play. You gotta realize there's a lot of things that are RPOs on that as well, where, you know, he's handing it off, and there was times when we had some throws in there as well. You know, with RPOs that I think, you know, Lynn, again, just looking at it, once he looks at it on film, he's like, okay, I could have thrown this one, you know, he had a few options there, you know, to throw a little bit more, so.
Do they tend to have more success in certain plays, or is, like, each running back's better at one thing, or is it just whatever the defense gives you that?
I think that's fair to say to some extent, but overall, no. You know, you're splitting hairs. But maybe some guy's better at a gap scheme. Maybe he's reading things better, hitting it tighter, trusting it, you know, than others. But in general, you're splitting hairs there.
Or have you seen Lane continue to grow as an emotional leader? Because that, you know, after that game, the locker room, he was saying that he rallied the troops, keep them on the same page. How have you seen that role on that side of things grow for him?
Yeah, that's really encouraging to see from him. And, you know, it doesn't surprise me, you know, because he has grown so much. And, you know, it's fun to see, you know, it really is.